The continent lies in ruin. The cataclysmic events that closed Season 3 have left kingdoms reeling, armies in flux, and old alliances fractured. War rages, dark magics stir, and amid the chaos, three figures, Geralt of Rivia, Yennefer of Vengerberg, and Princess Cirilla of Cintra, are torn apart, each forced onto their own perilous path. As the new season opens, the stage is set. If they can survive the baptism by fire, rebuild from the fragments of their lives, and lead ragtag coalitions in the face of overwhelming odds, perhaps they might yet find each other again. Part 1. Paths of Separation. Ciri Faka, among the rats. At the start of Season 4, Ciri is missing, presumed lost in the chaos. In truth, she is alive, but deeply changed. She has assumed a new alias, Faka, a persona born of necessity and defiance. She finds refuge among the rats, a gang of street urchins, thieves, and misfits operating on the fringes of Nilfgaard. Under their tutelage, she learns to survive without the privileges of a princess or the protections of power. She begins to harden, both emotionally and morally, wrestling with how much of her old self she can retain. Ciri's powers, once a sure flame, flicker and dim, perhaps as a consequence of the traumatic events she endured. She must rediscover what it means to wield them, or whether survival alone will be her guide. She is hunted, not just by enemies but by her own lineage and the expectations pinned on her as the child of destiny. Vilgefortz, Emhyr, and other dangerous mages believe they can reclaim or control her. Ciri must outwit them and endure trials that test her identity, her loyalties, and her will to hope. Throughout the season, she will face betrayals and alliances among the rats, perhaps confront moral compromises, and slowly emerge, if not as the Ciri of legend then as a new version forged in hardship. Yennefer, rebuild, rally, resist. Yennefer, separated from both Geralt and Ciri, finds herself reeling from loss. The devastation to Aretuza, the death of mentors, and the political ruptures across the mage community weigh heavily on her. But Yen is nothing if not resourceful. Recognizing that chasing Ciri alone is a fool's errand, she shifts to a more strategic role, rallying rival mages, forging coalitions, and re-establishing institutions under her influence. She becomes a leader, not merely a lone power. She must navigate the fractured politics of the mage orders, choosing whether to trust old rivals or forge new alliances. Her mandate: make the continent safe for Ciri's return, and rid it of the shadow of Vilgefortz and those who seek to abuse magic. Yen's path will likely cross with powerful figures, some allies, some enemies. She may clash with Philippa Eilhart over ambition and ideology, or with Fringilla Vigo as she maneuvers in the wake of Nilfgaard's upheaval. Her emotional arc becomes one of transformation, from bitterness and grief to renewed purpose, learning that she cannot act alone. Her bond with Geralt, though strained by distance, acts as a psychic thread she cannot sever. Geralt, forming the Hansa. Geralt's journey is perhaps the most outwardly ambitious. He must abandon the lone wolf existence he has always known and gather a Hansa, a fellowship of allies, misfits, warriors, and loyal souls, to venture through war-torn lands in search of Ciri. At the outset, he is battered physically and emotionally. The wounds of the previous season weigh on him. The old Geralt, self-contained and wary of attachment, must now embrace vulnerability and trust. Among those he recruits or reunites with are Milva, a keen archer and scout, Jaskier, the bard whose loyalty never wavers, Zoltan Shive, the stalwart dwarf, and others like Yarpen Zigrin. But he also forges new bonds. One of the most intriguing is with Regis, introduced this season as a barber surgeon, vampire with a mysterious past. Raised to question his nature, Regis becomes a confidant to Geralt, forcing Geralt to confront inner doubts and emotional closure. Through the Hansa's travels, Geralt must balance leadership, protection, and guidance, and realize that saving Ciri might depend not only on strength, but on compassion and shared purpose. Part 2. The Rising Storm. Conflict and confrontation. Early in the season, the threat of Vilgefortz looms large. He is reorganizing, consolidating power, and building an army centered on Ciri's destiny. Emhyr, too, plays his political games, believing he can bend fate to his will. In Redania, Prince Radovid has ascended the throne. His rule, ambitious and ruthless, sends ripples through the northern politics. His alliances and antagonisms will affect the balance of power, especially among mages and those who oppose them. Meanwhile, Philippa Eilhart is poised for a reckoning. Her political maneuvers, allegiances, and betrayals will come to a head. Some characters around her will choose her side, others will expose or oppose her. Skirmishes erupt across borders. Nilfgaardian forces, northern armies, rogue bands of monsters, and mage factions clash in dangerous zones. Geralt's Hansa will be thrust into these conflict zones, forced to protect, intervene, or sometimes retreat. Ciri, in her own arc, becomes complicit in the underworld politics of the rats, some of whom may serve powerful masters or be exploited by larger forces. She will confront enemies of her own choosing, and perhaps face temptations to abandon her royal claim. Yennefer, from the shadows, will launch magical offensives, manipulate courts, and assert control over hidden levers of power. At times, alliances she forges or breaks will surprise both friends and foes. Personal trials, betrayals, and growth. Because Netflix's Witcher tends to emphasize character over pure plot, many interludes of Season 4 are likely to dwell on internal conflict. Geralt and Jaskier, their bond is tested by loss, by the burden of leadership, and by moments of doubt. Jaskier's songs and humor might mask deeper despair but again serve as the emotional spine of the group. Milva's loyalties, she may harbor ghosts of her past or secret motivations that challenge her place in the Hansa. Regis's duality, whether to embrace or deny his vampiric nature, and how much trust he can place in humans, adds moral tension. Yen's sacrifices, she is forced to make choices about which lives to save, which causes to prioritize, and whether to risk herself for Ciri. Ciri's identity crisis. As Faka, she must reconcile the need to survive with her destiny, resisting the temptation to lose herself. Philippa's ambition, will she betray friends or double-cross over each? Her endgame remains mysterious. Radovid's cruelty. His reign may produce terrible consequences, especially for mages, non-humans, and dissenters. At times in the season, flashbacks or personal episodes deepen backstories. Jaskier might recall a lost love. Milva might face traumatic childhood memories. Yennefer could revisit key moments from Aretuza. Ciri might encounter whispers of her father or her lineage. One notable moment drawn from rumors in the press as a fish soup interlude. The Hansa pauses at a campfire, and during a shared meal of fish soup, each character reflects on their pasts. In the show's adaptation, this might be rendered with flashbacks. Musical elements, especially for Jaskier, are stylized sequences. Another rumored sequence, an animated flashback focused on Regis, recounting his vampire origins in a stylized manner, blending animation with live action. These emotional sequences provide breathing space between large battles, anchoring the stakes in character motivations. Part 3, Turning Points and Escalation. Clashes and Losses. By mid-season, eventful confrontations begin. A massing of armies near contested borderlands draws Geralt's Hansa into a pitched battle. Perhaps they must rescue a besieged village, fend off corrupted magic, or prevent poisons or monsters from breaching defenses. Yennefer's coalition launches a magical strike against a key stronghold controlled by Vilgefortz's forces. She faces opposition from rogue mages, betrayal from within, or sabotage. Ciri, in a desperate act, leads the rats in a confrontation with rival gangs or agents of Emhyr. She may narrowly survive, but not without scars, physical or emotional. Philippa's betrayal might come to light. Perhaps she attempted to manipulate Redania or broker a deal with Vilgefortz, only to double-cross one side. Her duplicity sets off a cascade of vendettas. Regis may come under attack from vampire hunters or hunters of higher beings. His secrets threaten to unravel, putting the Hansa's trust to the test. Radovid's purge intensifies. Mages, dissenters, non-humans, even innocent bystanders are imprisoned or disappeared. This forces Yen to act more aggressively, or risk capitulation. In one dramatic twist, a member of the Hansa may betray Geralt, either under duress, ideological difference, or secret manipulation. The fallout shakes group cohesion. Another turning point. Ciri, believing she is lost to Geralt, may experience a personal revelation. yes, the child of destiny cannot be simply hidden forever. The climax, the convergence. In the final episodes, the three separate paths converge. Geralt, with the core of the Hansa diminished but resolute, heads for a rumored stronghold where Ciri might be held or located. Yennefer, having taken risks and made sacrifices, leads a strike force of mages to intercept or prevent Vilgefortz's ritual or bold gambit involving Ciri. Ciri, cornered by agents of Emhyr and Vilgefortz, must choose whether to fight using her dwindling powers, trust unlikely allies, and assert her agency. A climactic confrontation unfolds. Amidst crumbling towers, storm-racked fields, and magical cataclysm, Geralt and Ciri finally face one another, though the reunion may not be clean or immediate. There may be danger still, a final blow attempted by Vilgefortz, an intervention by Redanian forces, or a betrayal from within. In a dramatic moment, Yennefer arrives in time to tip the scale, sacrificing something precious to save her daughter and reconnect with Geralt. But even success is bittersweet. The price paid is high. Lives are lost. The continent tilts, but the immediate threat recedes. By season's end, the Hansa stands battered but intact. Ciri is reunited, at least in part, with Geralt and Yen, but their paths ahead remain fraught. The stakes shift from rescue to restoration, from separation to unity, setting the stage for the final season.